Hey guys, and welcome to another installment of the PH Journals. Yes, this podcast, we're already on episode 22, and time is flying. It's incredible, and I've been so fortunate to share this amazing journey with you guys. So, super pumped for today's episode. Got a couple of things lined up, and just can't wait to share it with you guys. So, guys, before we get into it, of course, there's people that have been with me along the way, and I'm so fortunate for their love and support. And so just to mention a couple of names. First one, a big one out, Tactacam. Big shout out to the guys at Tactacam, delivering an excellent camera, action camera for your hunting, to self-film yourself when you're out in the bush. It's becoming in a part of everybody's gear bag now, is to try and film themselves when hunting, is to capture those moments, and it's definitely to make it a lot special. So a lot more special, sorry. But a big shout out to Tactacam. Another one, big one out there, is a big shout out to Maxxis Tyres. Part of being a professional hunter, you some of your biggest expenses are out in the bush, on your pickup, especially your bakkie. And one of them is your tires. So I'm very fortunate to have Maxxis. Not only do they deliver a top quality product, they're super supportive, and they pretty much, you can get them all over South Africa, and it's a fantastic tire. Really, I'm using the Maxxis Razor, the mining application, mud terrains, and unbelievable 3-ply sidewall. It's next level stuff. So super stoked to be associated with Maxxis Tyres. Then another big one for me, and it's become a very special part of my journey, and I'm super pumped to have them on board. The Splitting Image Taxidermy. You know, the incredible part about it is I've always prided myself on selling, promoting, or using top quality products. And especially as a professional hunter, you always want to recommend the best to your clients, because when the safari's over, you want them to be treated as best as possible. And of course, you can do that now with confidence with Splitting Image. They're fantastic. As far as their artistry goes, they're unbelievable. And, for me, it's all about customer satisfaction, after the sales service, pretty much, with a professional hunter. So communication is extremely key. And, they pretty much handle everything for you. And it makes our job a whole lot easier. And, at least my clients have a peace of mind when they go back home, knowing that their trophies are taken care of as best as possible. So big shout out to Splitting Image Taxidermy. And then last but not least, Treezyn Camo. These guys have been with me now for about 2 years, and I'm so fortunate to have them on board. They supply excellent quality camo, and for myself, gear is probably, especially camos, are some of the most important essential items in your bag. So for me, they're top quality. Not only is it great camo, they're great quality as well. So that makes it key. And as a professional hunter, you want to try and eliminate all your costs, and one of them is clothing, and they just do that. I mean, they've lasted now longer than any other gear that I've had. So big shout out to Treezyn Camo, guys. And something that's very close to my heart, and it's developed, it's pretty much widespread now, and it's become a huge issue. And I would love to use this platform to not educate, and not promote, but make people aware of what's going on out there. And the big one is farm murders. It's an incredibly sad thing to see, and my condolences from myself and the team go out to every single farmer that's lost a loved one. And now, with the burning of their farms, it's crazy to see how our poor farmers, especially coming out of one of the worst recorded droughts, are now suffering this whole political damaging crime that's going on out there. So a big shout out to our farmers. Lots of love and lots of prayers to you guys. I'll keep doing whatever I can as far as making people aware on my platform, and that's my goal, is to make as many people aware as possible. So big shout out to all our South African farmers. My thoughts and prayers are with you guys. Then, guys, a big one. If you would like to get involved with PH Journals podcasting, as far as sponsorship, donations, whatever the case may be, please stick around till the end of the show, where I can supply you with some special details and some pretty cool advertising. And yeah, I'll tag all the links in my descriptions below. Hopefully it comes up on most of the podcasting platforms like Podbean, Spotify, and all that. If you're unsure, you can always head along to my YouTube channel. It's the PH Journals, and have a look there. I'll tag it in the description below, and you can just find out a little bit more on how you guys can get involved as far as PH Journals concerned, and some of the sponsorship deals that we have on offer. And then, guys, you'll see I've been drinking some coffee during the show. The official beverage drink of the PH Journals podcast, sponsored by Designer Health Products. They're local guys. They're fantastic. I really enjoy their company, and would love to have them on the podcast in the coming days. But they supply a whole range of really cool items, and one of the reasons why I've partnered with them was because I can see these items for myself, using them in the bush, and just making sure that I'm hydrated, and I've got the best possible care when I'm out there. So one of the products that they do, and I've been having a couple of these on my podcast, is the CBD coffee. I had it last week. I'm having it again this week. It's incredible. It just relieves a little bit of an anxiety, just calms you down a bit. And the list goes on and on and on. If I just quickly read here on the back of the, it doesn't have any THC, which is pretty cool. And yeah, it just helps you with the jitter-free. Something I read about CBD coffee and was very interesting to me. I see a lot of benefits when people use it in Parkinson's. To be honest with you, I'm not too clued up, but I just read it the other day, and yeah, so CBD's doing some fantastic stuff out there, and yeah, definitely head along to Designer Health Products. They've got a social media platform that they work from, and I'll tag them in the link below. This CBD coffee is brought to you by Healthy Coffee Guy, so it comes in a nice neat little packaging, but fantastic. It's whole beans, so yeah, awesome. Had it last week, and I've been having it throughout the week. Yeah, just really, it's an amazing effect that it has on you. It just sort of relaxes you a bit, and like I said, it's cool that it doesn't have any of the THC psychotic things in it, so that's awesome. So yeah, you can feel safe to have it any time during the day, and it always just, CBD is one of those things that I highly believe in, and as far as my joints go with rugby injury, but that's all for another discussion. So big shout out to Designer Health Products. Thank you so much, guys. It's great to have you on board, and I really appreciate all the support. Well, guys, without further ado, let's get into it. Hey guys, so part of the PH Journals journey that I've taken forced me into a situation, especially now during COVID, to think of another way of making a bit of an income. And one of the ways was for me to help my fellow PHs. And the way I thought about it was maybe designing an e-commerce store that I could sell products that I believe work when I'm hunting with clients out in the bush. And that was the whole model around PH Toolbox. So you'll see that yesterday we came to an end of the affiliate marketing program where people got the opportunity to sign up and eventually become a registered affiliate marketer for PH Toolbox, which is pretty cool because I think across the board, whether you're a professional hunter, ranger, vet, wildlife enthusiast, it gave you the opportunity when the season was quiet to earn a little bit of extra money. And that was my idea. And earn money on quality products that you believe work out in your specific field. And that's how I designed PH Toolbox. So, it was something very special. But something I want to do on each and every podcast is just spend a short amount of time promoting some of the items that I have been selling in there or that I plan to sell in the future. So one of them was 10,000 amp-hour solo power bank from Solarmate, sorry. It's great because I got the bigger brother. It's 20,000 amp hours. It comes with the LED torch on it. It comes with the integrated hanging battle, which is pretty cool. I've always just used mine on my golf bag. It's water resistance up to 4 times IPX, which is pretty cool. As far as water resistant goes, it's pretty much waterproof. So, it comes with 3-year warranty. Of course, it's eco-friendly and robust. Mine actually fell out of my golf bag on my way to the course the other day and rolled around in the back of my pickup. And when I got there, it had a few bumps and scratches on it, but it I knew it wasn't harmed because of the robust case it's got. So, fantastic. It's just one of those items that you want to have at all times with you when you're in the bush, because no matter what happens, you can always just charge your phone, charge your watch, pretty much on the go and using solar power, which is great. So, awesome product. I haven't launched this one. I've launched the bigger brother. I haven't launched this one, but I'll be launching it in the next couple of weeks. So, pretty excited about that and can't wait to get going. Okay, guys. So, sorry, I need to get to my place here. On the podcast today, we're going to be discussing tops and Cites. So for me, it's just one of those programs that I believe in South Africa it works. Our nature conservation has done some fantastic work over the past couple of years to put these systems in place for us not to abuse our wildlife, or just to get some figures and stats that are going on around the field. So a quick write-up about Cites. I'm going to read it straight off the actual Cites website. It's an international agreement between governments. It aims is to ensure that the international trade of specimens of wild animals and plants does not threaten their survival. So that's basically exactly what Cites is. My question around it is, are there certain species that need to be on there? Because as far as hunting goes, when you look at it from a hunting perspective, I'll get into the species. I'll name a listing of them, but there's some of them as far as the hunting criteria is that don't really need to be on there, and that's pretty much mainly what Cites is for. It's for the hunters to get permits for them to export their trophies. But the question is, it's the international trade of the specimen of wild animals and plants that does not threaten their survival. That's what Cites stands for. What it should actually help with is Cites needs to be added onto forestries, people that are looking to, expand the land, so inhabit where wildlife is. If that does, taking away their habitation, does that not threaten their survival? So for me, I think Cites needs to spread across the board. At the moment, it's just for trade. So, For instance, we'll get into the full list. I'll mention a couple of names now. There's over 38,000 species on this list, from plants, reptiles, birds, fish, invertebrates, and even amphibians. So there's a whole bunch of them out there, but what it actually stands for and what I think it should branch out to are two different things. So let's get into the list for the African animals. And for me, as we go along, I'll mention and I'll say whether I agree with it or not. And there's only one or two of the species in the list that I really think that I understand that they are threatened, but I don't think hunting is threatening them. I think their habitation, the defamation of their habitation is threatening. So an interesting thing, I was in Port Elizabeth this past week, and one of the most incredible things I've seen, like mongoose in the middle of the city. They've pretty much adapted to city life now. So there's a species in a certain area that was put under pressure, and they've had to learn to adapt. And one of them as well was a Cape gracebuck. I mean, for me, is one of the most elusive little animals under the sun, but yet we're sitting on my one friend's flat, sort of like a penthouse thing, and he's got a garden below, and next minute this beautiful little female gracebuck, and she was even pregnant. She definitely looked like she had a little one in her. Just comes crawling up and starts feeding on the flowers down below. And I just looked at this and I was like, I can't believe that these animals have learned to live within the cities and stuff. So I could be wrong as far as the habitation aspect goes, but what I saw this past weekend, it really blew my mind, and in some way made me kind of happy that these animals are still sticking around, even though with all the noises and cars and all that sort of stuff, they're figuring out a way to survive and survive well, not be threatened, So of course, the elephants there, the cheetah, leopard, lion, white and black rhino, crocodile, mainly the Nile crocodile, hippo, bontebok, the olive baboon. That's kind of from East Africa side, like Mali, Ethiopia, Tanzania side. Obviously our Chakma baboon, that's our local baboon in South Africa. Homodaris baboon, that's from Egypt and the Arabian Peninsula. Galada baboon, that's from Ethiopia. That's the more common one you see on TV, especially National Geographic, where it lifts its upper lip, and it's the one with the big mouth. Caracal, African wildcat. Caracal is also known as lynx, serval, civet, bay darker, old bees darker, yellowback darker, blue darker, red lecher, vivid monkey, mountain and Hoffman zebra, brown hyena, and black-faced impala. So here's the thing. So if we go through that list, and obviously the Chakma baboon and the vivid monkey are the ones that come to mind for me. And the reason why they do is because I don't think hunting is the one that they need to be protected from, and us destroying their habitat does. So, for me, I actually don't know if this is actually a criteria when you're considering I know are people that do environmental research and all that sort of stuff. When you look into inhabit a certain amount of land, to build on and to develop and stuff. But I would think that applying for these Cites permits before doing that also helps us to give some sort of figures and stats towards nature conservation to see how damaging they actually are to these sort of species. And will they inhabit? Will they come and get involved with human life? Can they do that? Are they, the type of animal that, like these gracebuck in this mongoose? The mongoose sort of, when I saw it, I immediately thought of the raccoon. It's a scavenging animal running through all the trash and just trying to survive by finding whatever it can, but it's dirty and it's, it's definitely not a mongoose that you would see in the wild. So, yeah, so, all these things need to be taken into consideration. And one thing you guys need to understand about this permit is you do need to apply for it before you come out to South Africa. So if you're thinking of hunting any of these animals that I've listed, please, guys, do a bit of homework. Go back, find out from your outfitter if you need to apply for these animals before. And if there are some, I know, for instance, the mountain zebra, the Cape Mountain zebra is the one that they've just launched that you can actually export now for trophy hunting. So that's pretty cool. But I know, for instance, like Bontebok is closed. Whether they'll open it in the coming 2021 season, I'm not 100% sure. But it doesn't hurt to do your research before coming out. I know there's a lot of question marks around the leopard. So yeah, that's the one thing about these permits is it allows for manipulation. Some people say, oh, no, just close leopard hunting because we can, because it's within the restriction of the animal and the species, which I really disagree on. I think it needs to be a community-based thing. For instance, the leopard population is doing really well now in the Eastern Cape, and not many people know that. And being involved, on the ground and hearing stories. I haven't seen one personally. I've seen some on trail cams, especially the brown hyena as well. But that's on tops. Is it on Cites? Yeah, it's on Cites as well. So, those sort of populations are really thriving in the Eastern Cape. Are they ready to be hunted yet? Probably. If you gave the Eastern Cape a couple of tags to sell to clients, I think we could afford to take one or two of them off, as far as conservation projects and stuff go. But definitely in the next 5 years, it's a huge possibility, and I would comfortably say that the population would have bred up enough to do that. So, yeah, it's just one of those things that I know we use to monitor certain species and how they are living and how they're doing. But there are certain ways and means that we can go about this to make it work really, really well. Yeah, I really believe in the tag system. I think it's worked for the American model. As far as the South African model, there are certain species that would do really well on it. For instance, blue darker, I feel it's a little bit unfair that certain people within the Eastern Cape get to have as many permits as possible for the blue darker CAEs. Whereas I think if an outfitter applies for a tag and he gets authorized the tag, and he can sell it on to his clients, and they can use that tag to go and approach another outfitter that lives in the area where there's blue darkers and say, listen, I've got a tag, I would like to come and hunt on your property for blue darker. It just leaves that a bit of window for negotiation, and it's a completely different model. Look, I could be wrong. I really could be wrong. I don't know. I haven't really weighed up the pros and cons of having that system on specifically like the blue darker, but who knows? We need to start evolving, and because the industry's changed. The industry has really changed. I mean, it's evolved drastically, and the amount of species. I mean, I know the Bontebok in captivity is doing really, really well, and so I just feel that these are all old systems, great systems in place, but now we need to evolve them as quickly as possible so that we can look after our species as best as possible. So I'm not saying that the system is bad. I'm not saying that it's skewed. I'm just saying there is room for improvement now going forward. And how and where, I'll have to really just sit down and knuckle down the point of this podcast is just to inform you guys, to tell you guys how Cites and tops work. So it's not to say that it's a failing system. I really believe it's working. It's just to say that we need to better it in the future. So guys, going on to tops now. So if I go into tops, I'm going to read to you what tops is. Tops was implemented in 2008. The South African Government Department of Environmental Affairs and Tourism includes some species in a threatened or protected species list. So that's where it gets its name. Mainly referred to obviously as tops. This regulation was put in place for government to regulate the species numbers of certain species. Although this list includes species of fish, reptiles, birds, mammals, flora, I'll only list a couple of the species that we would hunt normally. How tops works. So how tops works is some of them will obviously be on the Cites permit. Should you want to hunt any of the species that I'm about to mention, you will need a special tops hunting permit for each of the species listed. Your hunting outfitter will take out a tops permit. That's pretty much, it's a book. Like I said to you guys, most of the outfit is included into the price of the species that you guys are hunting, if they're listed. But also, again, guys, you need to apply for these sort of permits or make sure they're in place before you get out to the outfitter. It's very important that you guys do that so that there's no delay on any of your trophy exporting, especially the taxidermies. And when I have Doug or Warwick on the show, we'll definitely get into that as far as in the importance of having your paperwork up to date, because it delays the whole process as far as taxidermy goes, and you don't want anything to be held back if you're hunting one of these species in the list. It can hold your whole container back because of incorrect paperwork. So just make sure with your outfitter, make sure with your PH, take a bit of extra time towards the end of the hunt, and just make sure everything's in order. Make 100% sure that you take a copy of the permit back with you. That's very important, because if there are any snags along the way, at least you've got the documentation that you can fight it from your side. It's important, guys. I know it's an absolute, as a young professional hunter, you also need to make sure that these are all ticked. Make sure that you do your paperwork. I've got into a very good habit, once we hunt these, if the species on tops, I've got into a very good habit of actually filling it out that night, and I don't wait until the end of the safari, because you've got 1,000 things that you need to do, highlight, or make sure that are all in place right at the end. You got to go and check your trophies. You got to make sure that all your transporting is sorted out so that your clients can get to and from the airport. All your PH registers are filled out correctly, contact details, all that sort of stuff, bills sorted out. So your mind's running at the end of every safari, and it's your job to actually make sure that these permits are in place. So it's not the outfitter. Of course, he plays a huge role in it, but it's you as a professional hunter to make sure that all these systems are in place. And one of the great habits that I've inherited now, especially growing up, I thought, we leave it till the last day, we get everything done then. But it's very important that you do it during the hunt, that you know that you're not missing the documentation when it comes to the end, because you do forget and you do make mistakes. It's common practice. And I'm telling you now, before you make these very simple mistakes that can be extremely costly, don't do it. Make sure that all your documentation is up to date. So that's just one of them. So guys, if we run through the list, black wildebeest, So the interesting thing about the black wildebeest and whites on here, I mean, if you drive through South Africa today, you'll probably see on most of the game farms that are out there, or even private land now, normal farmers actually have some of them. I mean, I remember hunting Barbara sheep in the Stormberg Mountains, and every second farmer had a set of black wildebeest, had a big herd of black wildebeest. Now, the interesting thing about them, and you would wonder why they're on this list, but in the 19th century, they were actually almost wiped out. They were declared as pests. The value of meat was next to nothing, and the value of the hide, I mean, not many people wanted the hide of a black wildebeest. I mean, they couldn't really do much with it, and it was a weird animal because it was almost that in between your buck for your weight for your buck. So they were light. The meat was invaluable, and so was the hide. So they were actually a pest. They're hard on a veld. So I mean, those of you that have seen a black wildebeest, they're extremely hard on the grass. They ran it flat. They really do damage. So if you were a cattle or sheep farmer, you really didn't want them there, and they actually started eradicating them. And since then, because of a program like this, and this is why I say the system is not flawed, it just needs upgrading. Because of this, we've managed to save the species of black wildebeest, and I'm predicting that's why they're still on the list, because people don't really want them to get back to, because there's still a lot of factors within the black wildebeest. They carry a disease called snotsiekte for cattle and stuff like that, so you really don't want to make them invaluable. You want them to still hold their value. Otherwise, farmers and people, I mean, our population's grown on a daily basis, which we need more food, and people are rather going to use that land for cattle and sheep or crops or whatever the case may be, to feed the country. So, that's a whole nother topic again for another discussion, but a pretty nice little interesting fact about the black wildebeest. Again, we see in Bontebok, Cape Fox, blue duiker again, the African elephant, unnoticed, and I'm not quite sure, and I'm hoping somebody might be able to comment on this one. The forest elephant wasn't in the TOPS permit. It's an interesting one for me because I know their numbers aren't as strong as what they used to be. So, just an interesting little fact. I never saw it. Sharp's gracebuck, honey badger, brown hyena, spotted hyena, leopard, lion, Nile crocodile, the oribi. Again, the oribi it's one of South Africa's huge success stories. They were also next to nothing out there. But thanks to some incredible conservationists and farmers that cared about the species, have actually protected what they had on their land, because they understood the value of them, and have managed to breed up a really good population. I mean, some of the areas where I go hunting, my bushback down towards the coastline there, from Port Alfred all the way up to Port Elizabeth, there's some really good private landowners there that have really done hard work in conserving and preserving the oribi, which is fantastic. It's an incredible little animal, definitely one of my top 5 small species to hunt, and they're awesome. Common reedbuck again. Common reedbuck were brought into certain areas in South Africa. From what I understand, they're more natural to the Natal area, but you can find them now shifting all the way down. We've even got some now in the Eastern Cape, so you can find them shifting down through the Midlands right up until the start of the Eastern Cape, which is awesome. So one of the things is that I'm guessing is that the numbers were dwindling in the Natal area, and now we've managed to pick them up towards the end. So again, just another great success story as far as hunting dollar goes. It's an incredible thing to see, and definitely another tick in the box why this TOPS permit system actually works, because you want to see the numbers increase. Obviously the white and black rhino roan, which is an interesting one for me because I know the population does really, really well up north. Serval, Sunni and Natal. I know it's a difficult permit to get hold of to hunt Sunni, especially if you're after your tiny 10. You got to really do a lot of work in getting a permit for them. I know there's some people that wait up to 3 years just to get a permit, It's said to be Cape zebra and Hartman zebra. Yeah, again, guys, the mountain zebra, Cape mountain zebra, just do a bit of homework on there. I know last season we were definitely allowed to export mountain zebra, which is great because it means the population is increasing. So these guys get to close and open it as they please and when they feel the need to, which is an important thing, especially when you're running a permit like this. But I still feel, and I've mentioned in some of them, like the honey badger, spotted hyena, brown hyena, and leopard, the tag system is there. I just feel these are animals that, especially even maybe your Orobi, the thing that I found now being a professional hunter is that there's a certain amount of people within South Africa that get hold of these permits because for whatever reason, and therefore, you sit on a waiting list for years and years and years trying to get in and be able to, but if you don't have financial backing, the chances of you getting one of these permits are very, very slim. So there's a couple of people within the community that can actually dictate price, and really just basically sell to who they want. So where the tax system will help is that at least, whether you allow it to professional hunters, outfitters, or the actual hunter, I think it's a more fair opportunity for people to receive and get permits for these animals. Because ultimately, if you've brought them in and you've put them on your land, it's a completely different story. I'm talking about people that these animals have been there for a long time. But, if you inquire the permit and you get the permit, it's not to say that the landowner has to let you come and hunt. There's obviously going to be a lot of negotiating, a lot of price questioning and all of that, but at least you've got the permit and the opportunity to use it. I just feel that there's guys out there that have got these permits and that, they always ask way too much for them. They either ask way too much for them and not market-related prices, and they can distribute it to whoever they want, and therefore we struggle to get these animals because, it's not greed. It's just power that these guys hold. Again, not a bad thing. It's definitely working. So, I can't argue too much about it, but I just feel like that would be a great way for us to have an opportunity, because at the moment, as it stands, I've asked around for probably about 3 years now for Orobi for a client of mine, and I just can't get a permit anywhere. They're either all sold out or there's some sort of an excuse, and it's frustrating. It really is frustrating. So maybe that's why I'm suggesting these things. I'm a little bit more frustrated than what I should be. But, it's just my personal opinion. It's just what I think, that maybe there's room to improve going forward. Like I said, it's great systems. They're working with the numbers that have picked up. It's definitely not a flawed system. It's just a system that could do with a little bit of revamping. And I always, I would maybe in the near future, or maybe some of my guests that are coming on in the next couple of days, it would be great to find out from them if they have any knowledge of when an animal reaches a certain population, do they get taken off the list, or do they keep adding onto the list? They never take off. So, because when are we ever going to be satisfied with the number of animals? If we still got baboons and stuff on Cites, when are we when is it to say that their population is strong enough now that we can take it off these permits and we don't have to control it as much? It's an interesting question, and I've always wondered that, especially like your black wildebeest and stuff, because I think they've developed, they've built up enough of a strong population for us to reconsider their status within that they're not so much endangered anymore. So it's awesome, it really is. It's just great to see, and a lot of these animals, especially like your bontebok, I know you got to have certificates of blood tests to identify the bontebok that they actually have been tested and their DNA is bontebok, because a lot of the guys have interbred with them with blessback. And guys, again, it's just my opinion on these permits. I'm just basically giving you a background on them, because I feel if you're coming over to hunt any of one of these things, it gets confusing, and I've learned the hard way. There's a couple of clients that have come out and we haven't applied for the correct permits before, and when you're over here, we start wanting to apply for them, and it's an agonizing process that can be solved with just a little bit of homework. So that's my idea on this podcast, was to give you this information so that you can go back now before the 2021 season, do a little bit of homework, make sure that all the correct systems are in place, correct permits are in place. So when you come out here, you've got a hassle-free safari. And yeah, I had fun doing it. I really did. I think it was a great podcast, and just can't wait to have my guests on. So we've got some pretty cool guests lined up for the next couple of weeks. They've just been so busy, and they're either in and out of signal. It's one of those things when you deal with wildlife people or wildlife enthusiasts, whether it be vets, rangers, PHs, whatever, is they come and go. They're not always in signal. So to do Skype or to go up and do a podcast with them is always very, very difficult. But hopefully we get it right in the next week. Got some exciting guests on, and can't wait to share that from you. So guys, from myself, it's been a fantastic podcast. I really enjoyed it. I enjoy sharing some of the knowledge that I have around these certain things. I'm always learning, and I'm always trying to improve my knowledge as much as possible. And I'm just hoping that there's some youngsters out there that understand and learn from these processes, and that you're not going to learn the hard way by making school fees mistakes. And I've done that. It's scary and frustrating at the same time, but yeah. So guys, I mentioned earlier in the podcast, if you guys would like to find out a little bit more about how you would like to sponsor or get involved with the podcast through donations or anything like that, please hit me up on any one of my social media platforms. I will be tagging a couple of ideas and a couple of ways you guys can do that. I would also be putting some PayPal details at the bottom if you guys would like to donate. Definitely give you guys a mention or a shout out on the next podcast or on social media. But for myself, it's been a fantastic time. We've had a bit of rain now in South Africa, in the Eastern Cape side of things. The conditions are looking great. I've had some awesome feedback on social media about some topics that I would like to discuss in the near future. But yeah, just can't wait for the season to come now. It's been a frustrating year for all, I'm sure. And we're almost there. 2021 can't come sooner. So fantastic time. Again, guys, to all the farmers out there, my hearts and prayers go out to you guys. Condolences to the ones that you have lost. Condolences to the terrible fires that have swept and devastated your land. From our side, we're thinking about you guys every single day, and I hope things get better soon. and the political onslaught needs to stop. And if I can create some sort of awareness around that, I hope I can. So for myself, Dylan Love, have a great Sunday, have a blessed week. We'll keep in touch, and stay safe, stay blessed, stay happy. Cheers, guys.